Hello everyone, very good morning and good evening. Parminder here. I hope you all guys are able to hear me clearly and you can also see me and you can see my screen also. I think screen sharing I have switched off, but I hope you would be able to see me. Can you quickly confirm over the chat window if you guys able to see me, if you guys able to hear me? Great, guys. So guys, today we are together here to have an overview of SAP EWM, Extended Warehouse Management. So our trainer for SAP EWM is Sree. We have earlier conducted a session which was on last Thursday. Yeah, last Thursday we conducted a session and not last Thursday, before that we have conducted a session and there we have covered the integration between EWM and TM. That was to just give you a grasp and to make sure that you are you know the trainer also well, Sree. So that was the purpose. Now today we will be covering the overview of EWM. Sree got stuck somewhere. He would be joining us within a 2 to 5 minutes. By the time I would be giving you the overview of this training, that what is this training about and what kind of things we would be covering. Okay, there are a lot of generic questions would be there related to the EWM training and batch which we are doing it. So I would be answering those generic questions. So this training we would be having every weekend, 7 p.m. same time, Saturday and Sunday. 2 days we'll be doing. Saturday and Sunday, 2 days we'll be doing. Every weekend it would be happening. If you have not gone through the curriculum, let me quickly share a link with you so that you can go through the curriculum. Okay, here is the link. Sastrageek.com/EWM. Let me also share my screen. Okay, so this is our EWM link is there, so you can also see now. So once you will go through this link, you will come to know about the full program. What is the full program, fee structure, or how much it would be charged. If you want to pay in INR, you can go here and click here for the INR payments. Okay, and then total course duration would be between 40 to 45 hours. That's where basically earlier courses also we have finished between 40 to 45 hours. That would be the total duration of the course, where in this duration the videos would be there for 45 hours, but your effort you can multiply it by minimum 2 to 3 times. You need to spend somewhere around 150 hours of effort on the training if you want to learn EWM. Okay, so so we have some generic information is here, and then you can go through the curriculum. This is our course curriculum for EWM. If you have guys not gone through the curriculum yet, you can go through this curriculum. So this is the curriculum which we will be covering in our EWM training. Okay, and how the delivery would be happening? Delivery would be happening. We would be sharing all the things through the LMS. There is a LMS portal is there, which will be giving you access. That LMS portal also I will quickly show you. You would be able to see the LMS portal. All the videos would be uploaded there. We take maximum 24 hours to upload video, around 24 hours we say, but now we have changed the process in between 8 to 10 hours. Once the session has been done, the recorded videos would be available on the LMS. So this is our LMS. Let me quickly show you the LMS part also. So here basically we have a multiple courses here. Here the access would be shared with you. Okay, so EWM course, once we are doing the videos, we'll be putting it here. So that would not be ready. It would be in the raw structure. I can quickly show you the EWM should also be here. Yeah, this is extended warehouse management. So this teachable access would be shared with you, where in this page also you have all the information that what would be delivered in the training and what other things would be available. Everything would be provided here. Here also it's available. The curriculum also has been mentioned here also. You can also say, and based on the curriculum we are covering, the videos would be uploaded here. The videos would be uploaded. The documents which has been shared, that also would be uploaded and would be available here. Okay. I think Sree has joined. Sree, if you have joined, can you raise your hand? Okay, Sree has joined. Let me make him panelist. Okay, now we can start with the overview of S/4HANA EWM. Today's session is to give you a quick overview. So Sree, by the time you was joining, I have taken them through the generic stuff, that what are the things which we'll be covering, what would be the schedule of the sessions, fee structure, anything. If you guys want to see, you can check it on the link. We have generally the server access is not provided for EWM, but if you are enrolling in next 2 days, by Tuesday, if you're enrolling, we will also give you 2 months of server access for S4HANA embedded server access. And this training mostly would be covered on SAP S4HANA 2020 with embedded EWM. Okay, so with this, I give it to Sree. Sree, you can quickly start with the overview process. You guys all would be on the mute, but you can use the question and answer window to put your question and answer there, right? If you're having a generic questions, you can also put your generic questions there. I would be quickly answering your generic questions by the time Sree is giving you the overview. Sree, over to you. Sree, if you are speaking, we are not able to hear you. You're on mute.
Oh, sorry, myself, my bad. Yeah, so I hope everyone is able to see my screen, right? Just
yeah,
for the
we can able to see your screen.
Okay, fine then, fine. Okay, so yeah, let me just start with kind of an introduction, guys, because, well, this is a kind of an warehousing management solution where SAP EWM has come in the picture. However, let me just talk about a brief overview of from where this EWM landscape has been started and how exactly and what are the current landscapes, for example. But ideally, the main purpose of having this logistic solutions like your warehousing or maybe the transportation management or maybe your yard logistics, anything is ideally to have a seamless process of an end-to-end. In this today's world of the logistics, probably everyone knows that because of this e-commerce and other sites, customers expects you to have the next day delivery or any kind of things, because you have if you order something through Amazon or maybe if you order something through your Prime, you definitely expect the goods to be delivered fast enough to the customers. So however, in order to have this happening in the backend, normally we do have multiple things like to achieve this, to deliver it to the customer side, because obviously in the logistics side and as well as in the warehousing side, you should have an enough efficient way of working out. So that's where these solutions are coming up, because ideally in today's world, if you see, when we talk about any of our warehousing solutions, I think I can see that. Okay, sorry. Okay, yep. So
if you can go full screen, that would be great.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, sure. So I hope it's okay now.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Now coming back to this particular warehousing solutions, indeed, within the SAP itself, we do have a multiple versions. In case like when we talk about our warehousing legacy warehousing management system, where we used it for ages, and now we have renamed it as a stockroom management. And after that, because the customer requirements are more, and that's the reason what SAP has done is they have segregated into two different versions. One as your warehouse management, which is limited with the basic informations like kind of your very limited process and everything, with an advanced functionalities and with kind of an advanced scenarios and everything. We have an EWM coming in the picture, where we have the complex requirements meeting the customer requirements, and we do have everything covering up in this particular one. Okay, however, when we talk about this particular extensively of your extended warehouse management systems, basically we have this available since way back from 2006. And I mean, like, it has came into the limelight from 2006, where we used to have your ERP in a different landscape and EWM in a different landscape. That's where this EWM and TM and your APO has initiated. So years after that, what happened is they've made it more flexibly. What they have done is they have introduced this S4, and where they have started including your EWM and also your TM. If you can see this, earlier we used to have only ERP in a different landscape like ERP 6.0 and SEM server, which is of a 5.0 version. In that landscape, we call it as a decentralized landscapes. And after that, EWM became as a standalone, where from an SEM box, it is separately integrated to your ERP systems. That we call it as an SEM servers. That's something which we call it as a standalone system, where EWM itself will integrate with the ERP system. And after that, from 2015, where our S4 versions have started initiated, we have this 1511 followed by 1610, 1709, 1809, and 1909, 2020, 2021. These many versions has come till date for us S4. Okay, and the latest version is S4 2020, which is of FPS 02. That's the latest version in the EWM side when it is coming to an S4 landscape. The same way when we are doing it for the decentralized one, we are having ERP as a separate instance and EWM as a separate instance, which is of a 9.6 version. Okay, however, so these are all the separate landscapes that we used to have. So coming to my demo part today, guys, so I have divided this into multiple section areas. One into the systems integration, the master data integration, and the delivery documents, or whatever it is. I have segregated this into multiple sites. So this current landscape, whatever we see that here, we do have it in two different landscapes in the current world. One in the decentralized landscape, the other one in the S4 embedded landscape. So these are the two available versions for any of the customers that we can propose it when we are implementing a warehousing solutions to your client. We can have this particular information available with you. Okay, however, as being the S4 future roadmap is also of the embedded one, like S4 embedded one, where we used to have your TM or your EWM and other what do you say, that other yard logistics, and also now GTS is also part of the S4. So all these things are combinedly coming into a one package, which we call it as an S4. Instead of an ERP landscape, we'll call it as an S4 landscape. Okay, however, now when I talk about a basic warehousing, guys, ideally, how does a warehouse for me it looks like? What is the purpose of my warehouse? Okay, because ideally I should have an overview like what is a warehouse and what exactly I used to do. Like it is, we can in a layman terminology, I'll call it as it's a kind of a place where I'll store any kind of my products, whether it could be my finished products or maybe my semi-finished products or maybe the raw materials or maybe my packaging materials, or it could be anything, the place where I store my products. Okay, in a precise manner where I can allocate a specific location. Like for example, guys, how does a warehouse look like? This is a bird's eye view of what I'm trying to show you. But in our simple layman terminology, like whenever we walk into any of your supermarkets or any kind of maybe to IKEA or maybe to Tesco or any kind of your supermarkets, you see the products will be organized in such a way it has been placed in a certain shelves, or maybe depending on the product attributes. For example, when we take a kind of any kind of a chilled products, okay, a frozen products, the product attributes is always needs to be stored in a specific temperature in certain area in a freezer sections. So that means that the product requires a certain location to be stored at a certain temperature. Maybe for example milk or maybe cheese or maybe any kind of a products, or you take it yogurt or anything, you will have a specific location because depending on the product attributes. So that's how in a warehouse you might end up having like thousands of products when you're implementing it for any kind of your automobile industries. Like because for a car manufacturer you do end up having like almost like 30,000 spare parts for manufacturing one car, for starting from your tire to end of the everything. Okay, so how do you store each and every product in a certain area so that and you send these parts to your manufacturing plant so that it produces a finished product. So this is how your warehouse operations is very important for us to operate effectively. Now, if you see this here, everyone, like in this particular, you can see a vehicle just coming up, and you see there is a direction that where the goods has been stored, and there is another direction here outside. So in any of the warehouse operations, you can tell that it's three simple operations we will always perform. Okay, one is your inbound operations, or your outbound operations, and your internal operations. Inbound operations are nothing but the goods which you're receiving inside your warehouse, that we will take it as an inbound. And the goods which you are sending it out of your warehouse, that we always call it as an outbound operations. Internal operations within the warehouse, we do have a multiple activities, like we have to move the goods from one place to another place, or we have to do some kind of a scrapping, or you have to do some kind of a replenishment, or any kind of an within a warehouse, whatever we do it, that is what the internal movements that we just generally will call it. Okay, now the same way when we have in this warehouse, if you see, we have highlighted everything with, see, the green ones which are always an inbound, and the red ones which is going out of your warehouse, which is nothing but your outbound, and the blue ones which are the internal operations where they are moving within the warehouse. Okay, so this is how a warehouse typically looks like for us. Okay, I hope that's clear for everyone. Now, when I talk about this particular thing, I mean, like how exactly and what kind of the operations, I mean, like operations in the sense, this is what I said, the processes, how exactly the processes we would be differentiating in a warehouse within an inbound or an outbound and the internal one. So when we are receiving some goods into your warehouse, how effectively are we receiving it? Means with the help of your transport unit vehicle, or maybe how effectively you are managing your goods receipt management, and your when you are having any of your products with a quality management, and all these things would be required when we are taking care of an inbound operations. The same way, when we are talking about your outbound, like we also try to have how effectively we are planning your outbound operations to your customers. Like you would be having your direct shipments, or maybe you would be having with your TM integrations, or you would be having with your how you're loading. So all these are the something business processes that we will step into the system once we understand what is a warehouse. So I don't want to jump into these details more now. I'm just trying to help you out what kind of a business processes that we would be discussing in detail once we step into the sessions. Okay, now, however, before we get into this particular one, ideally, yes, as I said that there are two different landscapes. Indeed, one is your embedded landscape, the other one is your decentralized landscape. Yes, there are differences when we talk about an embedded and when we talk about a decentralized, because in the embedded landscape, it's much more flexibility what we see in terms of your master data, or we see in terms of your transactional data. Now, what we call as a master data here, master data are nothing but it could be your plant, it could be your materials, it could be your shipping points, or it could be your any out of this will for your customer master data or your vendor master data. All this information will fall under your master data. And your transactional master data are nothing but, sorry, transactional data are nothing but it could be your inbound deliveries, or maybe your outbound deliveries, or it could be any out of these things. Okay, now once we are trying to have okay, maybe I'll try to answer these questions at the end of the session, guys, because I'm not I'm monitoring these questions now. Okay, so I'll try to answer all your questions, Arjit. Okay, I'll answer this at the end of the session. Okay, now when I'm talking about this particular two different landscapes, yes, there are differences indeed. When I talk about the differences, yes, what is that? In the decentralized landscape, we will try to transfer the master data using a methodology called as a core interface. But ideally, in an S4 embedded landscapes, we do not need to have any kind of the interfaces, because that's directly that gets updated in the EWM system. So no core interface is required for this in case of the decentralized or in case of your embedded one. That's something. Okay. Now, when I'm talking about the changes specifically to the EWM one, earlier we used to have this customer or the vendor information where we transfer it to the EWM system as a business partner. But now in the S4 HANA landscape, we entirely call it as a business partner, where we assign an appropriate roles to that. Indeed, that's a different story. We will see that when we are creating it. Okay. So this is one of the changes of your master data, what we have it. The same way, when I'm talking about the master data, these are the changes, what we have it decentralized versus your embedded one. However, when we are talking about your transactional data, yes, the duplication of the deliveries are no more required in your embedded one. Ideally, as being EWM, it's just an execution system. We do not require any kind of the documents earlier. Like for example, if you see this, in case of an inbound scenario, we might create a purchase order and okay, and then we'll create an inbound delivery in the system, and that inbound delivery transfers to the EWM as a notification followed by an EWM inbound delivery. So in a decentralized landscape, we have a flow such that the duplication of the inbound delivery gets created back again in the EWM system as a notification. But in the embedded landscape, we even do not require this. So as soon as we create a purchase order or a production order, okay, which creates a PMR document in case of your production order, in the purchase order, we'll create an inbound delivery, and against an inbound delivery, we will create an inbound delivery directly. So, however, as being each and every release of the S4, I mean, like the system, we do have a multiple differences. Okay. Now, the same way we talk about the outbound also, like we do have ERP, like we'll create an outbound with a sales order and an outbound delivery that gets transfers to EWM as an EWM outbound delivery request. And in the embedded landscape, we do not even require that. Okay, so these are all the changes that we see in each and every release, guys. Okay, however, as I said that EWM processes are mostly focused on how effectively we are creating both inbound or an outbound here. Now, when I talk about any of your warehouse organizational structure, basically it ideally falls with a 3 or a 4-digit number. So basically, what is a warehouse? Indeed, as I said that, sorry, I'm just looking some questions if someone is asking. Okay, so this warehouse, ideally we will have another hierarchy on top of a warehouse. So where in a layman terminology, we'll have a very big building where we store all your raw or your manufacturing or any kind of a goods in a warehouse. But however, this warehouse, within a warehouse, we do have some kind of an organizational structure. Means it's a kind of a storage type or storage section and the storage bins. So each and everything has its own significance here. However, when I'm talking about a storage type or a storage section or a bins, for example, what exactly the storage types I'm trying to have here? Means the place where we try to store it in a warehouse. Okay, means for example, if you can see this diagram for me. Oh, not able to see my screen. What about now? Okay.
I'm able to see your screen. Storage bin was coming, and now it's the pictures are coming.
Yeah. Because I'm trying to switch between the screens. I'm not sure whether it's coming up or not.
Yeah,
okay.
Now it's coming. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So now, typically, when you see this, this is how a typical warehouse layout looks like for us. Okay, where we are trying to store the products here. You see, there are multiple pallets and the goods. How effectively we are storing, because here now the storage types are nothing but it's the physical location where you store your products, because within this storage type, again, we do have a multiple types, like what it could be an high rack, or it could be, if you can see this picture here, there is a guy who is placing a big bags here. See this. So this is a kind of an open storage type. So, or maybe if you take this storage type where you're storing your IBCs and you're storing your drums. So this is a kind of an other hierarch storage type. So depending upon the product attributes of your business, if you're working in a retail industry, then it would be a different scenario. If you're working in some kind of a automobile industry, it could be a different scenario. If you're working in a production or a chemical, then it could be a different. So all the time, okay, where we will try to store the products. Okay, however, how we are storing it, so this is how a storage type, so this is all one storage type, which we call it as an high rack. This is what I was mentioning here. Maybe where is this, my presentation gone? Yeah, this is what I was referring to, like my storage type. So it's a kind of an hierarchy where we exactly store the products. Now, within the storage type, we do have something called as a storage section. Means what is that section refers to? Like for, if you step into any of your supermarkets, as I said that, if you walk into that, like you see mostly like the fast moving products, for example, like your perfumes or maybe your body deodorants or your shampoos or anything will be very uh, picked up very easily, because those are the fast moving products. And there are some other products which are very slow moving products, where they will be placed on very top of the shelf or maybe at the bottom of the shelf. Means within this particular storage type, we will segregate each and everything, each and every one, into a separate section, whether it is like a fast moving section or a slow moving section, depending upon the product movement of the warehouse. That is what the section is in a warehouse. Okay, now when I'm talking about the last organizational structure, what we had here is a storage bin. Now, in a big warehouse with a 5,000 square feet of a warehouse, if you want to find out a product where exactly it has been stored, how do you know that? So that is the physical representation, okay, where we are storing the product. So this is a physical representation of a bin. Like when you step into in the store like an IKEA or something, and you want to search for a product in IKEA, what they do in the system, you enter the product number, and then it tells you that it has been stored exactly in a specific storage type, in a section, and in a bin. Means each and every bin is unique. If you can just, I'll just try to zoom this one if in case if possible. Oops, it's creating a, maybe, yeah, we can see this. There is a label which was marked below the each and every product. So this is a physical representation of the product where we store the products. Basically, when you enter anything in your system, the forklift driver will come to this particular location and he will pick that product. So how is he doing that? Means we are trying to organize it in such a way that each and every warehouse will do follow a certain hierarchical structure. That is what we call it as a storage type, followed by a storage section, followed by a storage bins. However, when we compare this with WM versus to EWM1, indeed, the storage sections are not mandatory in the EWM system. Okay, but when we talk about in the WM side, the storage sections are mandatory here. So this is how a warehouse organizational structure will be built up in the system. Okay. Now, I think I am not able to. Okay. So if you talk about the bin structure, yes, as we see, as we discussed now, this is what the bin structure and other stuff. Now, in this particular warehouse, we do have a multiple kind of the putaways. Like for example, if you can just list out the differences, as I said that from WM to SAP EWM side. Yeah, these are all the functionalities where we have with a limited functionalities in the WM, like the bin management. In the EWM, yes, we can extend it to whatever the bin management you would like to have. And the placement, you see how exactly you're placing it. And for example, if you talk about then advanced functionalities like the deconsolidation or the slotting and the rearrangement or the transport units or your dock appointment scheduling, your labor management, or your material flow system, we don't even have this functionality exists in your warehousing solutions, which is the old one. But in the EWM, yes, we do meet all these requirements for any of the customers of any industries. So that's what. So each and every business scenario would be very critical for us here. Now, as I said, for example, if you want to take one of the complex scenario of the deconsolidation one. Now, what is this deconsolidation refers to in a warehouse? As being, for example, like you are receiving, you are working in some kind of a chemical, maybe in some kind of an warehouse where you're receiving a mixed products. Like for example, you work in a pallet, you get a kind of a product where you have a mixed products, a product like for example a Coke and Pepsi, where it is coming in a single pallet and you're receiving it in your warehouse. However, when you're shipping this Coke product, what we do, either we have to break that certain pallet and then we have to ship it to the customers in case of a retail industries. So however, to avoid these kind of situations in the outbound, what generally the warehouse guys do is they will try to have, this is what the process, what I'm trying to explain here guys, everyone. Okay, so the EWM is mainly defined into two different things guys. One is about the process oriented storage control and the other one is about the layout oriented storage control. So this process oriented storage control is mainly nothing but it will help out to list out each and every step, I mean, of your activity in your warehouse with a certain action. Okay, so that is what we will have a process oriented storage control. Okay, now out of this process, in the process oriented storage control, I'm just listing out one of the process, we call it as a deconsolidation. So what we do here, when I receive some kind of a mixed products or maybe some kind of a pallets with a mixed products and I would like to store them in a certain storage types. When I would like to store them in a certain storage types, however, I do not want to maintain the mixed products there. So once I perform the put away, then it is a kind of an hassle work for me, for the other warehouse person to unbreak that pallet and to pick the right product to issue it to the customer. So that's the reason what we do is we have a certain steps to be taken care, like in the process oriented in the sense, we will follow each and everything with a certain process here. Like for example, you see 1, 2, 3, 4, it's something which has been highlighted here. But now using this process oriented storage control, we will try to define certain steps. Like first would be an unloading step. The second would be your deconsolidating step. The third one would be put away. Means the products, whatever it receives in the warehouse, it has to undergo a certain process over here. That is what we have this particular deconsol. Means as soon as we receive one big pallet of the mixed products, we will move it to the nearby work center and then we will unbreak that certain pallet into two different new handling units. Like the Coke would be going into the final storage type of 0020 and the Pepsi would be going into the final storage type of 0050, so that when we are issuing the goods to the customer, okay, then we would be having it when you're issuing it to the customer. What happens, you do not need to have an kind of an hassle work again to do a kind of a rework or something. So it would be very easy for us to pick the products and issue it. So this is one of the process where we have it in the process oriented storage control. In this process oriented storage control, again, we do have a multiple processes. One is your deconsolidation. The second is your value added services. The third is your quality inspection. The fourth is your counting. So these are a multiple processes that we have under your process oriented storage control. However, okay. Now, the same way, we also have something called as a layout oriented storage control. Now, in this particular layout oriented storage control, indeed, where do we use this? Because depending upon the physical layout of a warehouse, for example, we will try to perform the automation of the steps. Means, for example, if you have the production floor somewhere in the other building, okay, your production is happening in other building, and the finished products needs to reach to your warehouse through some kind of the transport, whether it could be a tugger trains, or maybe it could be a conveyor belt, or it could be someone has to move the products from your production plant to your warehouse. So this kind of thing, whatever we are doing it, basically that is what we will call it as a layout, where this layout oriented storage control is mostly used only in the semi-automated warehouses or in the automated warehouses. In the process oriented storage control, it's mainly used in the process driven steps, so we cannot make use of it. But this layout oriented storage control is something where we will try to have it in the layout process with a certain automation steps that gets created here. Okay, that is what this layout oriented control comes into the picture. So, however, yes, within this again, we do have something called as a warehouse order creations. And then how exactly we will be performing the posting changes. If you want to transfer from a quality stock to a blocked one, or maybe from a blocked to an unrestricted one. So these kind of an internal, which is nothing but your posting changing process that is happening, which we will taken care as part of the internal one. Okay. However, now, apart from that, in the EWM side, we also have something called the most important one actually, which we call it as your the PPF one actually, which is nothing but your post processing framework. So ideally, this is nothing but a kind of a NACE transactions actually, which we used it in the ERP systems. But in case of our EWM or maybe in the TM, we ideally use it for your printing of your labels, or maybe automating your any kind of an actions in the system, or maybe if you want to trigger any kind of a baddies, or if you want to trigger any kind of a workflows, all these kind of an activities can be triggered using this functionality, which we call it as a PPF one. That is one important thing. And apart from that, we also use the other scenarios like your physical inventory or the internal stock, your slotting and rearrangement, and your production integration. Like for example, if you are having your process orders or maybe your production orders which are getting created, and that needs to be integrated to your EWM system, because you need a raw materials to have a finished product to be produced. So then you have to have some kind of an document reference in a warehouse to pick that raw materials. That is where we will call it as an PMR integration, which is nothing but your production material request. The same way, we also have something called as a quality integration, where we also have some kind of a quality stocks, and where we want to determine some kind of an internal quality one. So all these kind of the activities, whatever we perform within the warehouse, ideally, that we will be taking care as part of it. However, so this is what we were talking about, the important scenarios of the business process. Like within the inbound, if you talk about the transport unit processing, like how you are managing your transport units, means once you receive your vehicle, how you are trying to unload the goods and how you are trying to manage the vehicles once you receive at your warehouse. That's where we talk about this particular one, transport unit processing. And the goods receipt management, as I also said, that how you are managing your goods and other stuff. And the quality management, like for example, if you're receiving some stock from your vendor and you would like to have some kind of a quality check to that, then that's where your EWM quality management will help out to check how the samples are and how the pre-samples were, and all these things will be triggering there. That is what we will have it in the inbound quality management. And the storage operations, as I said, which is most of the internal one, like your physical inventories. Like physical inventories are nothing but if you want to match the book stock versus the system stock, how exactly we'll be doing it. That is what the physical inventory will take care in the internal operations. The replenishment or the rearrangement, like if you want to re-trigger the stock, or if you want to manage the stock, because every time when you try to pick it from your bins, the stock levels get fall down to certain level. Once it is falling down to a certain level, the system has to automatically replenish that stock. That is where we'll have how exactly we are replenishing it. That is where we talk about a multiple process of the replenishments one. And now when we talk about the outbound, how we are trying to have your route, or how you are trying to have your waves and your bin management and your picking optimization, whether you want to do a cluster picking or whether you want to do a normal picking or for your customer picking or for your STO1, all kind of pickings, whatever the variants we have, that will be discussed in the outbound scenario. And then we'll talk about the loading. Once we have this particular loading at a GI zone, I mean like at your GRA area or maybe GI area, how we are loading the goods into your vehicle and what way we are loading it. That is what we call it as a load management in the EWM, where we be taking it as an with the TM integration, we'll be taking care of that. And then top of it, we do have the analytics and reporting, where we end up doing some kind of reporting, means how much of the stock is we have it in a warehouse, or how many warehouse orders have been created in a day, and how many has been confirmed and how many has been pending. All these kind of things will come under your analytics and reporting stuff. Then we also have this resource and the labor management. Yes, resource and the labor management will help out to tell how your resources are effectively being utilized in the warehouse. That's where we will have your resource and as well as your labor management comes into the picture. Okay. And the cross talking, yes, we do have the cross talking of a multiple things, such as your transportation cross talking or your opportunistic cross talking. Means what is a cross talking indeed? Like you do not store the products in a warehouse, you will just, as soon as you receive it into your warehouse, you will try to ship it out. So there is no storage space utilization for such kind of products. That we will call it as an cross-talking scenarios. Yard management, yes, outside my warehouse, how my vehicles are being managed in the parking lot, or maybe in the check-in, or maybe in the checkout, how the my vehicles are being managed. That's where your yard management comes into the picture. And now coming to the integration parts, yes, this EWM is obviously integrated to a multiple third-party systems, or maybe if you want to integrate to your RFIDs, or maybe if you want to integrate to your RF devices, or everything will help out to put out this. Okay. Apart from that, we do have some kind of an optimization tools, like for where we can reduce the optimization and other stuff. So this is how we can segregate our EWM business scenarios. So each and every business scenarios will has its own significance indeed. Okay, to list out. Hello. Any questions so far? Maybe
questions are there on the question and
yeah, I'm just checking that.
Yeah.
Okay, there are okay. There are something was answered and open. Okay, let me just come from the open ones. Okay, under what business scenario it is preferred to have a decentralized EWM, and in what scenarios? Yes, if in case if you're having it as a complex warehousing solutions, then we will go for a decentralized EWM one. And for the normal business where you want to have ERP and as well as EWM in one landscape, then you can go for the embedded one. Okay. And if it is decentralized, how it is connected to S4 ERP using your QRFCs, it would be connected. It's the standard methodology tool that we use it. We do not use any kind of an IDOCS or something. If in case if your EWM is connected to a legacy systems, then we will be using your IDOCS and other stuff. But for your ECC or your S4, the EWM is connected to your QRFCs. Will RFID and barcoding included in your training details? RFID is not there, but ideally the RF and other stuffs are included in the training. Or it is just a placement of materials in the warehouse, because I cannot see much requirements in the EWM in the market. That's strange. If you're not seeing EWM much openings, I'm first time listening this. Okay, I'm not sure.
It's also very, very strange to me.
Because
EWM is the hottest skill in the market.
Yes, EWM and transportation management are the really niche modules in the market as of now, where you see a plenty of opportunities floating around in each and every organization. That's what I can say. Maybe this information is quite strange to me. Okay. And how is EWM integrated with QM, PP, and MM? Yes, obviously. EWM is closely integrated with all the cross-functional modules, with your OTC, with your production planning, with your quality management, and with your MM. Because where, for example, when I talk about an MM scenario, where when I create a purchase order and an inbound delivery, that inbound delivery will be integrated to my EWM as an EWM inbound delivery. When I create a production or a process order, it creates a PMR document. And when I create a quality management, so it creates a quality management in my system. So, and when I create a sales order and an outbound delivery, it creates an EWM outbound delivery. So EWM is closely integrated with all these 5 or whatever the standard legacy modules we have. It is closely integrated with that. Okay, because we do have a purchasing scenarios, we do have a production scenarios, we do have a quality scenarios, and we do have a sales scenarios. Okay, so all these scenarios would be ended up again at the EWM side, because that's where all your products are being picked up. That's the reason it is very tightly integrated with all these functionalities. In EWM S4 HANA, okay, and that question was half filled, I guess. Okay, I don't know, Mohad or someone, I don't know what this question. Okay, EWM TM integration will be covered. I believe in this content it is not there. In the advanced content, yes, we will be covering that. If an experienced MMer wants to add an EWM high skill profile, what topics a consultant should first focus respectively? It's not about the topics, it's about the business knowledge, and it's about the processes what we learn in the EWM. Yes, MM or an SD or a PP or a QM, any of these consultants can learn EWM. However, they should be knowing it. For an MM side point of view, they should be knowing how the receiving is being happening, or from an SD point of view, how the outbound is being happening. These are the 2 major functionalities that you should be aware of. So companies would either go for a process oriented or both, not both. Yes, there are companies where implementing like both, where, because if, for example, if you go for an Amazon, or maybe if you go for any of the big Merck or any kind of companies with the big warehouses, they have to go with both the processes, like the process oriented and as well as the layout oriented. Both are pretty much important for us. Is EWM like same as embedded EWM? Not really, because decentralized EWM is a bit different in comparatively like your master data or your transactional data. And when you talk about your embedded systems, yes, it is pretty much the same way, but it acts differently in the EWM one. Okay. Can you discuss the org structure? Okay, I discussed it, but I'll rediscuss that back again. What are the prerequisites for EWM? Prerequisite for the EWM is, okay, like if you would like to organize in your warehouse, prerequisite in the sense, what kind of a prerequisite you're looking out for learning for EWM, or to integrate to your client system. I didn't get this point, but however, the prerequisite for EWM is at least you should have a minimal knowledge in your SAP MM or maybe an SD side. That is enough for learning the EWM. However, to integrate it, yes, obviously your storage locations, if you're managing it with an IM location managed or your EWM managed, that's the prerequisite normally we will look after here. Even with S4, why clients are going with a decentralized EWM? Yes, because of the load balancing. Why? Because when you are implementing this particular EWM on huge warehousing solutions, then obviously the client will go for a decentralized one because of the downsizing of the clients, because they don't want to have both ERP and the EWM in one client to avoid some issues. Okay. Also, if we have some knowledge and it will help for EWM, obviously it will help because it's terminology wise, it is the same thing. So it will help you a lot. Okay. What are the prerequisites for transaction from EWM? There are no transactions prerequisites because the transactions, whatever we use it in the EWM decentralized and the S4, both are same. Okay. But in the S4 HANA EWM, we do have a many more functionalities like a PMR or maybe the quality integration. All these things will be pretty much easy to integrate to the system. EWM is an enhancement. Yes, it's a kind of an enhancement, but with all the complex scenarios where now the WM has been renamed as a stockroom management solution with a limited functionalities. That's it. But EWM can be offered to a customer to multiple ways. Like it could be a basic licensing will help out to have it, or then advanced licensing will also will help out. Learning EWM. Okay, so is that a question to me? I don't know. Okay. I'm okay. So if I'm not wrong, outbound and inbound both applicable with MM integration, and outbound with OTC. Can you explain the integrations of QM and production orders? Yes. When you want to have, as I said, that with the production orders, like when you want to produce a finished product, you need to have a raw materials, and that raw materials will be storing into your warehouse. So as soon as you create and you release your production orders, it creates a PMR document in the EWM system. That's where it gets integrated with your production system. Okay, that's how you'll have this integration with the PM. I'm a PP trend. Yes, it would be obviously helpful. There is no doubt of that. Is MM prerequisite for WM or EWM? Not really. If you have an SAP background, that is more than enough. Even a technical people who are with the basis and other people, like other knowledge also are learning EWM. That's not at all a problem. Okay. So I believe I have answered everything. Like if I missed out anything, maybe. Okay, what is a put away? Okay, put away is a process where you store the products in a warehouse. That's what we call it as a put away. Where this put away will be helpful in the inbound receiving areas. Okay, what is the significance of EWM or WM? Yeah, that's what I've shown you a slide there, where you have the functionalities of your WM and as well as your EWM one. Okay, storage location helps. Yes, obviously storage location will also help you to store the material, but in the storage location, if you want to pick a specific material of a specific one, you cannot pick that certain material. But in a warehousing one, yes, you can pick that if you have identified it. Okay, because in a warehousing, you will identify that at a bin level. That's the reason. It is ideal to do a EWM with a combination of an MM model. It is easy to learn EWM. Yes, it is easy to learn. That's not a problem. That's not a problem. Yes. Yes, you can obviously do that because I have because earlier even I am a kind of an end user before, where I was working in Apple back like almost like 14 years back, and after that I started my career as an SAP. Obviously it helps them a lot. It's not at all a problem. Okay, people who are having an end user and a domain knowledge, they can easily learn this SAP of MM or maybe EWM or anything. That's a very good added advantage for them. Okay. Date for April. I don't think so. Batch is starting on the next Sunday. I think that's already answered. Yeah. So any other questions or anything, guys? Maybe. I hope. Okay. There are some more questions I think I need to answer. Yeah. Do we need? Obviously, yes. When you're working under some kind of an production scenarios, obviously we'll have a batch managed products. Then obviously we will have this batch managed under EWM as well. What are the challenges while migration from EWM to embedded? So from the S4 to embedded, the challenges we will not have much from the functional side point. Okay, we do not have much thing. Is wave planning? Yes, it is included in the training. Is there integration between Ariba P2P and no? Ariba P2P is not there. Normal P2P, we can do that. We'll be covering EWM PP and QM integration. This is part of your advanced training that can be covered. That's not at all a problem. Prerequisite, there is nothing prerequisite for learning the EWM. If you can understand it, everyone can learn this. Integration between PM and EWM for components. Yes, obviously we can do it if you're having your bill of lading, sorry, your BOM material, and there we will have your header and your components. Obviously we will do it. For the components, you can make it as your EWM managed, and the header one, you can make it as an IM one. Definitely you can do that. RF gun integration is different, same as, yes, obviously it is different because here we will be using your ITS integration. Robotic process is there or not? Yes, it is there. That's what we call it as an MFS integration, but robotic in the sense, what kind of a robotics we are trying to use? That is something where we have to discuss in detail because there are multiple robotics we will be looking at in the LOSC, which I said in the layout oriented storage control. We will be looking out something called as a robotic process there. Okay. Why there is no linkage between Ariba and EWM? Can industry use Ariba for P2P? Yes, they can use it, but direct integration between Ariba and EWM, it's still not available. The EWM integrated is only assigned to P2P1, but Ariba integration has not been available till date. Okay. So any other questions if I missed out? I hope I answered everyone's question.
Yeah, I think most of the questions has been answered. Thank you, Sree, to quickly cover the overview. Yeah. And guys, we will be starting the sessions from next Saturday. Would be the first session for EWM. So already people has done the enrollment within the session. I received 3 to 4 enrollments. So the link has been given. If you have missed the link, I'm giving the link again. You can go there and get yourself enrolled. And there's also a link given here for the LinkedIn link where you can go and share your comments. You can share your feedback to us, and you can also let us know that what more kind of these kind of session you would like to hear from us. And apart from this training, we are moving from a training institute to a kind of a community. So it is not only when you join the Sastrageek solution, you will be getting this training. We are delivering a lot of stuff with this. You will be getting access to a Facebook community. You will be getting access to a dedicated Telegram EWM group. You would also be getting every Thursday, we are conducting Step Up Circle. You would be getting a live attendance of the Step Up Circle, and the recordings also you would be able to see. So EWM and TM session we have covered in Step Up. Ariba and S4HANA sourcing and procurement we have covered in Step Up. Next week, I'm kicking off the job hunt program, how the job hunt program will work for SAP. That is coming on next Thursday. Then after 2 weeks of time, we will be conducting one session. I will be conducting one session every Monday to help people to guide for their jobs, that how they can, people say that they don't see the EWM opportunities. It's not like the opportunities are not there. It's like that we are not rightly approaching to them. So how to prepare your LinkedIn profiles, how to prepare your resume, and how to giving you implementation exposure. So we are planning a full 3 month program for that. And another institutes charge around 70,000 to 1 lakh rupees for that. And we are offering free with this. So if you join this course, that job hunt program is also free for you. Video recordings plus online attending the sessions, that is also free. So we are trying to develop a community. The people who are associated with us, they are associated from last 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, doing a different training and enhancing their career. The same we expect. Okay. So I would like to welcome the people who has not yet joined. The community, I would like to welcome them. Come and join the community, get enrolled with these trainings. Sree is one of the best who can deliver EWM. That's what we are trying to bring. One of the best people who is passionate about training and who can really deliver the good training. The people who has yet not enrolled, the link is here, sastrageek.com/EWM. Apart from this, in this community, I also do the career consulting. So one-to-one career consulting I do every day, 1 hour, 1 to 2 hours in the evening. So you can also book my time for the career consulting, people who wants to discuss one-to-one. So for that, the link I'm giving you here. If you want to book my time and discuss more, you need to check my, you will be getting my calendar link here, and then there you can get your slot booked here if you want one-to-one career consulting. So that is the thing, that is from today's session, guys. I hope you have enjoyed the session. Please, again, I request you, please don't forget to put your comments on the LinkedIn. Okay, it's the, if you put the comments on the LinkedIn, it also increase your visibility. Once your visibility is increased, then you get more people approach to you if you're looking for a job. Especially people looking for a job, try to be available on LinkedIn. Be very active on the LinkedIn. LinkedIn is kind of a gold mine. I received 4 to 5 offers all on site in last 2 months. Okay, everything is coming from LinkedIn. Okay, if you're not connected with us, you can click on the link. You can connect with the Sastrageek. You can get connected with me. We are also putting a lot of job postings on our Telegram channel. We are putting a lot of job postings. We are also putting a lot of job postings on the LinkedIn also. Okay, I will also quickly give the our Telegram channel link. So you can join this channel, and from here also you will come to know all of the community, free community sessions which we are doing. So here is the link for the Telegram channel. Okay, and once you join and enroll the training, you will be getting a dedicated link for the Telegram group where you can have a discussions also between the groups. So if you don't have any other questions, we are ending the session here. Mubashir, we'll try to connect with you. I don't promise that I would be able to get direct connected with you with Sree, but we'll see that I will connect with you and try to answer your most of the question. So I have your number with me. Okay. Sree, anything to add before?
Nothing else, because this is just an overview. I can't put entire EWM into this sessions, guys, here, because it in 1 or 1.5 hours I can't. I just try to give you a kind of an overview. How does an EWM looks like? That's it. So once we step into the sessions, yes, I promise you that I'll definitely look into the detail of each and everything, and I can make you more comfortable there. That's not at all a problem. Okay.
Yeah, but that overview is also covered very beautifully. It's very nice.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, because maybe some people says that, okay, it was org structure was not there, something. Maybe I felt that, but definitely we will be looking into that in each and everything, guys. Don't worry about that. Okay, that I can promise you. All right then, guys. Okay, have a good day then. See you then. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you everyone. Thank you very much, Sree. We'll connect you next Saturday, same time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye for now.